Good afternoon, guys. This is criminal defense attorney James Fifelski. Today is the day that I launch the Presumed Innocent Project. If you have ever heard of the tireless work that some of the most amazing defense attorneys do with the innocent projects across the country, these die-hard, determined defense attorneys who are insistent on trying to free and liberate those people who have been wrongfully convicted and wrongfully sentenced to jail, to prison for crimes they did not commit. Those are the innocence projects across the country. As a criminal defense attorney who has now been working in the legal system for almost 20 years, I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, the great, the terrible, things that will make you cry, things that will make you jump for joy when people's lives, their freedom, their liberty, their future is on the line after being charged with a serious criminal offense. The most trusted person they should be looking to is their defense attorney. Unfortunately, when we see cases where people have been wrongfully convicted, in part because their attorney was ineffective for some reason in defending him or her in the legal system, they end up behind bars for something they did not do. Or time and time again, we see people who are sentenced disproportionately severe for things that did not warrant such a severe sentence. When people's lives are at stake, their liberty, their future, and the other family members or close friends who are related to those individuals charged and possibly convicted in the criminal justice system, it is so vital that we defense attorneys who really are at the front lines of justice, at the front lines of justice reform, at the front lines of defending the innocent, at the front lines of defending those who are overcharged with crimes they didn't commit, even if they did something wrong, even if they did break the law in some way. When the criminal justice system becomes inhumane, when the prosecuting attorneys, district attorneys, who charge people for crimes don't care about the individual who is represented by a particular case file, they just want to close a file, get another conviction, get another notch in their belt, and move on to the next. The people who stand between those who seek charges against individuals that are inhumane or too severe or wrongful accusations are you and I, the criminal defense attorneys. And with the rise in the conversation about criminal justice reform, about inequality in the way people of color are charged or convicted, or even the way they're treated in the criminal justice system, there is a growing awareness. There's a growing awareness of the problems that defense attorneys face all the time, that defense attorneys have faced for years and decades in our country. There's also an increase in awareness of everybody who is involved in the criminal justice system in some way, shape, or form. But a lot of the things that we see in the news don't always translate in practice in the day-to-day work of the criminal justice system, because people's attitudes are much more difficult to shift. Whether you're talking about a judge who's been a judge for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, and seen the same kinds of cases, sometimes the same people coming in and out of the legal system. It is difficult to continue to remember the human dignity that every individual charged with a crime deserves, and the human respect that all of us who work in the criminal justice system must give to one another. Not to discount the rights of people who've been victims of crimes, but to remember that if we don't treat those who seem unimportant, or those who we sometimes think of as animals, people who have allegedly committed serious crimes against other people, if we don't treat those people with respect and dignity, then we start to completely undermine the legitimacy of a legal system which should be based on fairness, proportionality, respect for each and every individual, no matter how many cases have to go through a particular court system, no matter how busy the docket is. Every individual deserves his or her day in court. Every individual deserves to be treated with respect and basic human dignity. And unfortunately, for many of us who work in the criminal justice system, we see there's a breakdown. There has been a breakdown in basic humane treatment in the legal system. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The biggest reason, I think, is human nature. The fact that as human beings, we instantly want to judge or condemn someone as soon as we hear they've been arrested or charged for a crime. How many of us, if we've heard some famous person on the news has been charged with a crime, suddenly ask ourselves, oh my gosh, how could that person do that? Why would he do that? Why would she do that? Assuming that the person actually violated the law. If we, especially as defense attorneys, or even prosecutors and judges, automatically assume guilt in a system where we are presumed innocent until proven guilty, then we are the ones who should take a lot of the blame for the inhumane treatment in the legal system, in the criminal justice system. And because we who work in the criminal justice system day in and day out, the defense attorneys, the prosecuting attorneys, the judges, the probation officers, the bailiffs, the other individuals, it is our job to make sure the system works properly for everybody. Whether we like a particular person or think that particular person has any redeeming qualities or not, it's our job to ensure each and every person who goes through the criminal justice system is treated fairly, with dignity, with respect, so that ultimately we can trust that our legal system is trustworthy and does justice in ways that are appropriate, that can instill confidence in people, so that yes, people feel safe, so that people feel protected if they've been victimized by someone who commits a crime against them, while at the same time affording each and every individual safeguards, legal protections, constitutional protections, the biggest of which is the presumption of innocence. So I'm launching the Presumed Innocent Project because I want to call on other defense attorneys to continue to focus their practice on each individual client, to build practices that are client-centric, because our work is with people. It's not just for the law, the black letter law, just to prove that we can win a trial, but it's for the individual we represent. So as defense attorneys, let's call each other on. Let's call each other on to build a better, more effective legal system that treats each and every client with respect, with dignity. Let's also call on each other to raise the bar, so that as we build practices that we want to be successful financially, also in terms of the outcomes that we achieve, that we can support each other. We can motivate each other from our stories, from our experiences. We can share techniques, tools, strategies. We can bring in stories from other people who have been impacted by the criminal justice system. Maybe people who have been exonerated. These are the kinds of things I want to bring together in the Presumed Innocent Project, so that instead of focusing so much time and effort on exonerating people who have been wrongfully convicted and sentenced, let's spend more time up front, in the front load of the case, to help people who are presumed innocent to have a fair trial process, to have a fair criminal justice experience, so that ideally there will be no need for exonerations. I applaud the work of those tireless attorneys who have gotten some 2,700 exonerations over the last 30 years or so. You can check the catalog of exonerations at different websites. the National Registry of Exonerations, catalogs each and every one of these cases that have been recognized and linked to their website, the reasons for exoneration, the fact that more than 24,000 years of life lost behind bars by people who have been wrongfully convicted and sentenced for crimes they did not commit. 24,000 years behind bars for things these people did not do. Now, granted, the human justice system will never be perfect, but the simple fact that there are so many exonerations, and there are a lot of different reasons for exonerations, is a call for us criminal defense attorneys to really step up our game, to take our practices to the next level so that we can more effectively help our clients get through what has become a very inhumane and unequitable legal system, so that we can be the primary safeguard to help people get through with justice, with dignity, and with truth. And that is why, again, I'm launching the Presumed Innocent Project. I want to continue telling my story. I want to bring in other people to tell their stories. I want everybody who has some interest in criminal justice reform, who has some interest in building more successful criminal defense practices, to share this experience with me, to follow me, to share this video, to bring other people into this story. Share your own stories, share your comments. I think that now is the time for us who are involved in criminal justice reform to really take advantage of both the social and political movement that is trying to help create a better criminal justice system. But if we want it to last, the stand the test of time, then we have to build in a sense of more determined justice and humanity in the criminal justice system. Otherwise, it'll just be a flash in the pan, a momentary social experiment. We want this to last for generations to come. So join with me, follow the Presumed Innocent Project. I really want to help as much as I can with the 20-some years of experience I've got, so that I can share some of the experiences. Like the young man I helped, he was from another country. He was very intelligent. He was studying some form of engineering, working on his PhD at a local university, Ivy League university, and ended up hanging out with some friends one night, got a DUI charge. He knew that his career would be sidelined if he was convicted of a drunk driving charge. So I got motivated, not so much by the facts of the case, although there were a lot of mitigating factors and there were some legal issues. There were a lot of factual mitigating factors about this young man that I was able to harness and really leverage. And although it took longer than I expected, I was able to get the criminal charge dismissed in an area where that's unheard of, because the policy is never to dismiss DUIs, especially with younger people. But that effectively saved this young man's career. I actually heard from him just the other day, and that's why I'm thinking about this. A year later, after we got his case dismissed, he wrote to me and said, "Thank you so much, James. If it weren't for your hard work and dedication through this process, I would not have gotten this position. I would not have been able to graduate and get the position that I'd worked so hard to achieve." So that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. The fact that sometimes people make mistakes. And if you've been in criminal defense for any amount of time, you know people make simple mistakes. However, in our current legal atmosphere, one simple mistake can change the whole trajectory of your life. If your career is sidelined, if you can't get a job because you have some kind of criminal conviction, even a misdemeanor conviction. So each and every person's life matters. Their backstory, their history, what they're working to achieve. And a justice system can only do justice if it understands and takes into account the context, the background, the individual factors of each person who comes in and out of the criminal justice system. So that is my hope and my call for all my brothers and sisters in the legal profession who are engaged in criminal defense, or for any other part of the criminal justice system. Let's work to make the legal system much more humane, to give dignity and respect each and every individual, to look for those places where people may be treated unfairly historically and change those so that we can give everybody fair treatment, a fair shake at the best outcome. And us criminal defense attorneys to really step up our determination to protect those who are accused of crimes but presumed innocent, so that we can take them through effectively, successfully, in the best possible way, and help eliminate the possibility for exonerations of wrongful convictions, of people who are wrongfully convicted of a crime they didn't commit. I'm attorney James Fifelski, and I'm so grateful that you joined me. Please like or share this, and let's continue to build lasting criminal justice reform.